Good day, my name is Christel from Frans, Klerk, Independent Technical Analyst, Netcare. The share is clearly caught within a symmetrical triangle. Now, a symmetrical triangle is an uncertain formation. It tells us that the share can increase to the upside when that upper band changes into a support. But the momentum to the bottom can also escalate once this lower band changes into a resistance. Now, this can become a continuation pattern. Why? Because this downward trend temporarily experienced a pause within the symmetrical triangle. And the textbooks say that should this lower band changes into a resistance, it can continue this downward trend this side, assuming that that level remains a resistance, and then this becomes a bearish flag formation or a pennant. However, the warning or the negativity will only be wiped off the table once that upper band changes into a support, and that is waiting at 16 Rand and 12 cent. Now take note, this lower band is waiting at 13.66, right? And for a couple of times, 3-4 times now, the share, every time it reached the lower band, there was enough buyers strong enough to support that lower trend line, that lower band for upside. So it's very, and what helps and basically is favorable at the moment is the fact that we are in oversold territory. Now take note, both lines within my stochastic is still pointing downwards, implying that the momentum to the bottom is still in place. It's only when that blue line breaks upwards through the orange line that a positive divergence will be confirmed, which increases the probability for a bounce. And 1366 is the critical level on Netcare that needs to remain a support in order to see a possible bounce, maybe back to at least the 40-week moving average, waiting at 1474, and especially to that upper band. Now, the long-term sentiment is obviously highlighted by the 40-week moving average, and that is represented by the red line. At the moment, the share price is trading below it at 1416, so 1474 needs to change into a support in order to make the possibility for more upside, put it there. All right. Next one on our list is life health care. I think a lot of the investors wanted to see what their reaction was on the healthcare stocks after the national health insurance legislation came out. Very important. I'm going to change this to a line graph to highlight this possible double top formation. Now, a double top formation is a warning formation, right? It tells us that should that neckline of the double top change into a resistance, the warning formation will be confirmed and we can see lower levels. And that neckline is waiting at 19 Rand 38. If 1938 on life healthcare changes into a resistance, we can see the share price a lot lower. Take note, my stochastic is sitting on a 71. It's not completely overbought yet. It's only overbought when it trades above an 80 on a stochastic. And that looks like the blue line wants to lose steam, right? So when that blue line starts to break downwards through the orange line, the negative divergence will be on the table, and that will increase the probability for more downside. Okay, so only when that top resistance, and that is waiting at 20 Rand 89, only when that level changes into a support again, can we assume that the momentum to the top can continue, and will the warning of the double top be off the table. At the moment, the long-term sentiment towards life healthcare is still positive because my 40-week moving average waiting at 1871 is still a support. Snipp Interactive, listed on the Toronto Exchange, what is the next one on our list? Now, I want to change this to a candle graph because this is a possible hanging man formation. And the negativity of this hanging man formation will only be confirmed when the next candle is a bearish type of candle. Now, at the moment, these are weekly graphs, so this candle is not completely finished yet. But at the moment, this is a beautiful example of a gravestone doji candle, implying that the sellers were keen to take it as low as possible and that the opening and the closing prices are almost at the same level, right? Also take note, my stochastic is on the brink of confirming a negative divergence, meaning that blue line breaks downwards through the orange line. What does that mean? It means it increases the probability for downside, along with a hanging man and a possible confirmation telling me that this uptrend might be drying up. Only when that high, waiting at 16 cents, Canadian cents, changes into a support again, can I assume that the momentum to the top can continue. My 40-week moving average is waiting at 13 cents. Below that level, the long-term sentiment will change to negative. So if you are in profit territory, you should consider taking some, if not all of it, off the table, depending on how greedy you are. All right, IBKR, Interactive Brokers. A lot of the South African also uses this platform to trade their international futures and shares. Now, at the moment, the ticker is IBKR, right? It's caught within a symmetrical triangle. Same story, uncertain formation. Only when that upper band changes into a support waiting at $80.48 can I assume some upside. And in this case, this will become a continuation pattern for more upside, right? Because it was an uptrend, a small pause within the triangle. And should that upper band change into support, the continuation that we've seen here at the bottom can increase on that side. Only when that lower band changes into a resistance will the possibility of optimism be off the table. But also take note how close that lower band is to my 40-week moving average. That highlights the importance of that floor. It highlights the importance of that support. So should that level break, one, then this long-term sentiment towards the share will change to negative. That's waiting at 77.94. And the optimism of this possible symmetric triangle and the possibility of a continuation pattern for more upside will be off the table. What makes this one difficult is the fact that my stochastic is in mid-zone, right? You want to take it either when it's almost oversold with a positive divergence, and you want to buy it. And when it's overbought, you want to consider taking profit or considering a short. But when it's in mid-zone, it's almost like fighting your opponent in the middle of the ring. It can go either side, right? So this is not an ideal place to take any position. You want to take it when it's in the corners. You want to fight your opponent when it's in the corners because then there's not a lot of room for movement for them. All right. So the lower band, I would say 77 to 94. Below that, we can see downside. Above that upper band, 80.64, the possibility of more upside. Cross Country Healthcare, listed on the Nasdaq, was also one of the shares that readers or viewers requested, and we can see at the moment here, Kalagile, that my 40-week moving average has been tested 3 times now, right? And they could not change it into a support. That is very negative. For 3 weeks now, the share tested it, could not change it into a support. Tested it, could not. What does that mean? It tells me there was not enough buyers to change that support, that 40-week moving average into a support. That can be seen as a negative technical goodbye keys. Very important, look at that stochastic. The negative divergence, has already been confirmed where that blue line has broken downwards through the orange line. That tells me the probability for more downside is there. So should you be in a profit, you should consider taking it, right? Because of the resistance on the 40-week as well as your negative divergence. Only when that 40-week, waiting at $27.78, changes into a support again, can we assume that the momentum to the top can continue and that the buyers were now strong enough to lift the share price to higher levels, maybe back to these resistance levels of $30.98 as well as $36.55. Also, if I zoom out, make this a little bit smaller, and I put in here just quickly a horizontal line, this can become a massive, ugly, my lines still have flu. Let's use a proper horizontal line. There you go. This can become an ugly left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder. And we know head and shoulder formations below that neckline waiting at $21.09 more downside can become the reality for this share. Only when the highest part of, in this case, the left shoulder becomes a support waiting at $30.51 can we assume that the warning is off the table and the share price can reach for higher levels again. Don't forget to send through your request for next week's show either via email admin@fransdeklerk.com or Twitter. We can't wait to share your analysis with you. Have a lovely week. Take care.